Section 1 from the book of Genesis. As soon as Isaac had finished blessing Jacob, and Jacob had just gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, Esau his brother came in from his hunting. He also made savory food and brought it to his father. He said to his father, "Let my father arise and eat of his son's venison, that your soul may bless me." Isaac his father said to him, "Who are you?" He said, "I am your son, your firstborn Esau." Isaac trembled violently and said, "Who then is he who has taken venison and brought it to me? And I have eaten of it before you came, and have blessed him, and he will be blessed." When Esau heard the words of his father, he cried out with an exceedingly great and bitter cry, and said to his father, "Father, bless me as well." He said, "Your brother came in with deceit and has taken away your blessing." He said, "Isn't he rightly named Jacob? For he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright. See, now he has taken away my blessing." He said, "Haven't you reserved a blessing for me?" Isaac answered Esau, "Behold, I have made him your ruler, and all his brothers I have given to him for servants. I have sustained him with grain and new wine. What then will I do for you, my son?" Esau said to his father, "Do you have just one blessing, my father? Bless me as well, my father." Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Isaac his father answered him, "Behold, your dwelling will be of the abundance of the earth, and of the dew of the sky from above. You will live by your sword, and you will serve your brother. When you come into your own, you shall break loose and shake his yoke from your neck." Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing with which his father blessed him. Esau said in his heart, "The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then I will kill my brother Jacob." The words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah. She sent and called Jacob, her younger son, and said to him, "Behold, your brother Esau comforts himself about you by planning to kill you. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice. Arise, flee to Laban, my brother in Haran. Stay with him a few days until your brother's fury turns away, until your brother's anger turns away from you, and he forgets what you have done to him. Then I will send and get you from there. Why should I be bereaved of you both in one day?" Section 2 from the book of Judges. Delilah said to Samson, "Until now you have mocked me and told me lies. Tell me with what you might be bound." He said to her, "If you weave the 7 locks of my head with the web." She fastened it with the pin and said to him, "The Philistines are on you, Samson." He awakened out of his sleep and plucked away the pin of the beam and the web. She said to him, "How can you say I love you when your heart is not with me? You have mocked me these 3 times and have not told me where your strength lies." When she pressed him daily with her words and urged him, his soul was troubled to death. He told her all his heart and said to her, "No razor has ever come on my head, for I have been a Nazirite to God from my mother's womb. If I am shaved, then my strength will go from me, and I will become weak and be like any other man." When Delilah saw that he had told her all his heart, she sent and called for the lords of the Philistines, saying, "Come up this once, for he has told me all his heart." Then the lords of the Philistines came up to her and brought the money in their hand. She made him sleep on her knees, and she called for a man and shaved off the 7 locks of his head, and she began to afflict him, and his strength went from him. She said, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson." He awoke out of his sleep and said, "I will go out as at other times and shake myself free." But he didn't know that, for everyone had departed from him. The Philistines laid hold of him and put out his eyes, and they brought him down to Gaza and bound him with fetters of brass, and he ground at the mill in the prison. However, the hair of his head began to grow again after he was shaved. The lords of the Philistines gathered them together to offer a great sacrifice to Dagon, their god, and to rejoice, for they said, "Our God has delivered Samson, our enemy, into our hand." When the people saw him, they praised their God, for they said, "Our God has delivered our enemy and the destroyer of our country, who has slain many of us, into our hand." When their hearts were merry, they said, "Call for Samson, that he may entertain us." They called for Samson out of the prison, and he performed before them. They set him between the pillars. And Samson said to the boy who held him by the hand, "Allow me to feel the pillars whereupon the house rests, that I may lean on them." Now the house was full of men and women, and all the lords of the Philistines were there. And there were on the roof about 3,000 men and women, who saw while Samson performed. Samson called to Forever One and said, "My Lord Forever One, remember me, please, and strengthen me, please, only this once, God, that I may be at once avenged of the Philistines for my 2 eyes." Samson took hold of the 2 middle pillars on which the house rested, and leaned on them, the one with his right hand, and the other with his left. Samson said, "Let me die with the Philistines." He bowed himself with all his might, and the house fell on the lords and all the people who were in there. So the dead that he killed at his death were more than those who he killed in his life. Then his brothers and all the house of his father came down and took him and brought him up and buried him between Zorah and Eshtaol in the burial site of Manoah, his father. He judged Israel 20 years. Section 3 from the first book of Chronicles. For the divisions of the doorkeepers of the Korahites, Meshelemiah the son of Korah, of the sons of Asaph. Meshelemiah had sons, Zechariah the firstborn, Jediah the second, Zebediah the third, Jathniel the fourth, Elam the fifth, Johanan the sixth, Elionai the seventh. Obed-Edom had sons, Shemaiah the firstborn, Jehozabad the second, Joah the third, and Sakar the fourth, and Nethanel the fifth, Amiel the sixth, Issachar the seventh, Peulithai the eighth, for God blessed him. Also to Shemaiah his son were born sons, who ruled over the house of their father, for they were mighty men of valor. The sons of Shemaiah were Othni, Raphael, Obed, Elzabad, whose brothers were valiant men, Elihu, and Semachiah. All these were of the sons of Obed-Edom, they and their sons and their brothers, able men in strength for the service, 62 of Obed-Edom. Meshelemiah had sons and brothers, valiant men, 18. Also Hosa, the children of Merari, had sons. Shimri the chief, for though he was not the firstborn, yet his father made him chief. Hilkiah the second, Tebaliah the third, Zechariah the fourth, all the sons and brothers of Hosa were 13. Of these were the divisions of the doorkeepers, even of the chief men, having offices like their brothers to minister in the house of Forever One. They cast lots, the small as well as the great, according to their fathers' houses, for every gate. The lot eastward fell to Shelemiah. Then for Zechariah his son, a wise counselor, they cast lots, and his lot came out northward, to Obed-Edom southward, and to his sons the storehouse. To Shuppim and Hosa westward, by the gate of Shalacheth, at the causeway that goes up, watch against watch. Eastward were 6 Levites, northward 4 a day, southward 4 a day, and for the storehouse 2 and 2. For Parbar westward 4 at the causeway, and 2 at Parbar. These were the divisions of the doorkeepers of the sons of the Korahites, and of the sons of Merari. Section 4 from the book of Matthew. He came again and found them sleeping, for their eyes were heavy. He left them again and went away, and prayed a third time, saying the same words. Then he came to his disciples and said to them, sleep and take your rest later. Behold, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Arise, let's be going. Behold, he who betrays me is at hand. While he was still speaking, behold, Judas, one of the 12, came, and with him a great multitude with swords and clubs, from the chief priests and elders of the people. Now he who betrayed him had given them a sign, saying, Whoever I kiss, he is the one. Seize him. Immediately he came to Jesus and said, Greetings, Rabbi, and kissed him. Jesus said to him, Friend, why are you here? Then they came and laid hands on Jesus and took him. Behold, one of those who were with Jesus stretched out his hand and drew his sword and struck the servant of the high priest and cut off his ear. Then Jesus said to him, Put your sword back into its place, for all those who take the sword will die by the sword. Or do you think that I couldn't ask my Father, and he would even now send me more than 12 legions of angels? How then would the scriptures be fulfilled that it must be so? In that hour Jesus said to the multitudes, Have you come out as against a robber with swords and clubs to seize me? I sat daily in the temple teaching, and you didn't arrest me. But all this has happened that the scriptures of the prophets might be fulfilled. Then all the disciples left him and fled. Those who had taken Jesus led him away to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the scribes and the elders were gathered together. But Peter followed him from a distance to the court of the high priest, and entered in and sat with the officers to see the end. Now the chief priests, the elders, and the whole council sought false testimony against Jesus, that they might put him to death. They found none. Even though many false witnesses came forward, they found none. But at last 2 false witnesses came forward and said, This man said, I am able to destroy the temple of God and to build it in 3 days. The high priest stood up and said to him, Have you no answer? What is this that they testify against you? But Jesus stayed silent. The high priest answered him, I adjure you by the living God that you tell us whether you are the Anointed One, the Son of God. Jesus said to him, You have said so. Nevertheless, I tell you, after this you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of power and coming on the clouds of the sky. Then the high priest tore his clothing, saying, He has spoken blasphemy. Why do we need any more witnesses? Behold, now you have heard this blasphemy. What do you think? They answered, He is worthy of death. Then they spat in his face and beat him with their fists. And some slapped him, saying, Prophesy to us, you anointed. Who hit you? Now Peter was sitting outside in the court, and a maid came to him, saying, You were also with Jesus the Galilean. But he denied it before them all, saying, I don't know what you're talking about. When he had gone out onto the porch, someone else saw him and said to those who were with him, This man also is with Jesus of Nazareth. Again he denied it with an oath, I don't know the man. After a little while, those who stood by came and said to Peter, Surely you are also one of them, for your speech makes you known. Then he began to curse and to swear, I don't know the man. Immediately the rooster crowed. Peter remembered the word which Jesus had said to him, Before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. Then he went out and wept bitterly.